Hello, Next Geners. Well, we've done this show a little bit differently. We've had Dr. Turf on a special show that was recorded Thursday evening. That'll be on the YouTube show. You can listen to the audio on iTunes and Spotify. And for us, that's our entertaining show. This one is our informative show. So if you're here purely to hear Hayden and I give our thoughts for this weekend's races, you've come to the right place. And again, if you don't want to sit here and watch us for 20 minutes or so, you can jump on iTunes and Spotify and chuck in the earpods and have a listen to us. Hayden, Melbourne, Flemington. It's raining in Geelong where I am now Thursday night. The track's a good 3, but you'd think it'd be getting sort of into the, good 4, soft 5 range, maybe a bit worse.
That'll be the expectation from this part. Every time there's some rain around, we think it's the worst is going to occur, and it never does. Flemington's an excellent drying track, and with rain, that the boys, A, they knew it was coming, and B, they had an expectation on how much they were going to get. I don't think it slipped outside the zone of the expectation, and you'd have the gut feeling that if that rain didn't occur, that they were going to put that on anyway. So I'm expecting a good track. I'd probably be surprised if the track come up soft 5, if it wasn't upgraded during the day, if there wasn't further rain. So I'm doing my form for a G4 S5 at absolute worst. And that's what I'll be looking at. Rail 9 metres, very interesting rail placement. This isn't too far off where they look to head when they come down the middle of the track in the straight races when the rail's in the true. They typically look for 12 off the fence, that 12 to 18 off the fence zone when they come down the middle, not to the extreme outside. So we're going to get some pretty quick racing. That gives an on-speed advantage. I'd like to just come away from the rail. If you get 3 off the fence, I think it's going to be the prime real estate. So on-speed advantage would be the place that I will be looking to be.
All right. First race is a Maribyrnong Trial Stakes for the 2-year-olds. We're obviously very early in the season, and none of these horses have raced yet.
Well, whatever time this is on, this is beautiful time to have some lunch.
All right. Race 2 is the Superimposed Stakes for 3-year-olds, probably heading towards the Derby. Gunstock for Mick Price and Mick Kent Jr. is a $3.30 favourite. Have you got enough form around these horses to have an opinion?
The problem with these horses, a lot of them come out of slowly run races. Yeah. When you come out of slowly run races, you get the opportunity to have a little bit of a squeeze and a squirt home over 400 metres. That doesn't tick the box from a high pressure, genuine pressure scenario. Haituzu wasn't hopeless at Donald first up. He looks progressive, as another one in the race, Grinzinger Ali or whatever his name is. They're the 2 horses that I would be looking at from a form perspective. Grinzing and King, I think the other one's name was. They're the 2 runners that I'd be looking at to make an improvement. This would be a progressive race to a Derby, yeah?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so they're the 2 that I'd have my eyes on, but it's definitely not a race I'd want to be betting in.
Race 3 is a Group 2 race for the mares. We might see a horse back up in the Caulfield or the 1,000 Guineas next week, I should say, but it's really a benchmark 64 race. The favourite is $2.90, Elusive Express for Anthony and Sam Freedman.
That's the progressive horse in the race. They've got the right horse from a favourites perspective.
Yeah.
But again, it's dangerous. These horses come through without being exposed to any real pressure. We get to big fields, Flemington, with an on-pace rail. So we're going to go quicker than what we typically would for these races, which is going to expose a lot of these. That particular runner, good, latest, had its first 2 starts, bit of juice out of the track in its first 2. Its last start, Caulfield. You're talking coming off a -10 tempo. The squeeze through the mid got it up to a benchmark, sustained its run home, tanked out last 200 though. So how much is left under the tank? Not 100% sure. Clary Connors brings a runner down, Makulu or whatever it's called, for Brett Preble aboard. That's the one I'd want to be looking at to see how it goes moving forward. But these fillies are going to have to find minimum of 3 lengths to be competitive in anything else going forward this spring.
Yeah, fair point. Race 4 is a good race. It's the Gilgai Stakes. Zutori was outstanding last time. In fact, a few of these come through the same race that Splintex won. I think it was the Bobby Lewis. So Splintex is $550, Zutori's $350, hasn't been missed Away game was second behind Splintex. She's 360. And Kemel Passer coming from Adelaide is 420. $11 the rest with Kementari, Bonds Abroad, I should say, Ruby Street and Volpine, and Lost and Running scratched.
I was really taken by Zutori first up.
Yeah.
To me, he looked like a horse who'd come back to racing really well. And from a race shape perspective and from a fitness perspective, he looks like he could really bounce off that. That's as good. He wasn't as wound up as what he was, say, in an Oakley Plate. He looks like he's in for a more genuine campaign where over the first 3 starts of the campaign, we'd expect continuous improvement for him to peak, whether it be this start or the following. Splintex, hard to fault that performance last start, Flemington, and he looks like he's a horse who's going to really enjoy the straight. Once you find these horses find a little bit of a niche with straight track racing, they're hard to fault, and they can hold their profiles for 2 or 3 starts. So he would be hard to knock off that 2.5 lengths above IVR benchmark level. And you'd expect that from him once again. It's very similar to like the astrologist when, things didn't necessarily go right for him in Brisbane. He came down. The straight offers a real genuine race shape that suits horses like him, suits horses like a Splintex, whether they can travel, increase their speed and rip home. That's the bread and butter for these horses because they're not going around a bend. There isn't that artificial level of energy early with people bustling for positions. So these horses can thrive and they can go deep, deep, deep. 3, 4 starts, very difficult to win 4 races in a campaign. But the straight gives these opportunities to runners. Away game, big last start. I think that's about her level, but you'd expect her to go there again. So those two are going to be dangerous. Zutori's got the ability to go straight past them. And Kemel Pass is definitely the runner in the race from a mounting yard perspective. I'd keep a close eye on because he can really mix it with these sort of horses.
Yeah. Prezado is another one that comes to mind. Just put together a number of wins in a row at Flemington. When you look at Zutori's form at the track, obviously finished 4th first up here, but he was off the scene for 6 months. Last time at Flemington, before that, he won the Newmarket. Before that, he was 4th to Bivouac. I think that was in a Darley. Before that, he won at Flemington. It might have been this race that we're talking about, the Gilgai last year, and then he won the Bobby Lewis last year. So, yeah, he just loves Flemington, and as you said, really nice return. So he's one of my better bets for the day. Race 5's the Danehill Stakes for the 3-year-olds, Ingratiating. It's had a big boom, but got knocked off by Ranchan last start, and they meet again here. General Beau's the 3rd favourite, and Gimme Par, a last start winner at $7.50. Bruckner's also a last start winner at 10. And then you go to horses like Mornington Glory, Kalos, Randwick, that have won probably in lesser grade. But do you expect Ingratiating to bounce back here, or is Ranchan got a slight edge?
No, I thought Damien made a couple of tactical errors last start in the race where these two went head-to-head. Ranchan beating Ingratiating just. I thought Damien felt like he had the race under control. If something, Carnage would be his best friend, and Ranchan found the Carnage, and that's when Damien Oliver just made the decision, okay, I've got to go now. I don't think he expected that horse to really spear through to its inside and beat it. Ranchan's basically hit a brick wall. That was a 3-length slowdown when he got his head in the air and he got stuck trying to go in between runners. And the acceleration late, that was a 2.5 length acceleration over the last 200. So he's gone 0.7 above Ranchan, which is only 0.2 below Ingratiating's previous PB. He looks like he can go there or go past it. Off that slowdown, there's nothing to say that he can't at least improve half a length. So now he's going to ask Ingratiating to run a PB to beat him. So to me, it's advantage Ranchan. And I think the roles are reversed now. Ingratiating's one that's got the big booming profile. But to me, the ball...
Sorry, you there?
I'm there now.
Sorry, mate, I just lost you there.
No, did you get the end of that where I was just saying, I think the ball's in ranch hands court, and it's definitely up to Ingratiating to come back and beat him now.
Okay, so favour ranch hand. I don't have a strong feeling about that race. The next race is the Rose of Kingston Stakes. The winner is eligible for $1 million bonus, I should say, in the Empire Rose. This is over 1,400. Empire Rose on Derby Day at 1,600. The favourite is Mystic Journey, who was a good return first up, but I'm not sure I'd be launching into Mystic Journey as favourite here. Anavisto is the second favourite at $4.80. So Mystic Journey's $4.20. Instant Celebrity at $6. Odium, last year's 1,000 guineas winner, is $7. Still a Star at $8, and then it's 16 the rest. But and Parody, one of our horses we love to follow, is in the mix there at $23. Mystic Journey, is this the race you want to be backing her?
For me personally, no. But when I did have a look at the race, with her, she's a funny one, because if you do like her and you are in the Mystic Journey camp, I think you would feel very confident in backing her, especially from a first three perspective. That returns what you would have wanted. And you've got a level of expectation that she'll improve, anywhere between a length to 2 lengths off that, which would put her right in the thick of things. I've still got a little bit of a question mark. That was a good race shape for her, where she only really had to sprint late in the race. Her last 600, it was a 600-metre sprint home for her. She's a hard horse to fault. Is her best behind her, or is she ready to go back there? There's a couple of horses here that I'm confident of going in the right direction. Anavisto is one of those, as is Odium. I love the engagement of Damien Lane with Odium. I think he's the right rider for that horse. And she's definitely the runner. She'll get a track pattern to suit. He's the ideal runner on a horse like her. So she would get the nod from me just from Anavisto. And I'm probably only splitting the two there on a rider. Both of them have the right form, right race shape. Everything pretty much looks spot on for those two. If there was significant rain and the track deteriorated further down, then say if it raced in the S6 range sort of thing, Odium's got a performance back from Moe really early in her career that says she'd go in it. But Anavisto flies in it. We do know that. So it may swing slightly in the Anavisto direction, but I think Mick Price and Mick Kent Jr. have a good little hand here. Instant Celebrity's a runner that I do want to follow. She's going to need to get right off, right into the middle of the track to strike. I'm just questioning whether this is the right race/race shape for her. So she's definitely going to be there somewhere, but it's going to be pretty vital. You're within 5 lengths of the lead speed at the 800, and I'm not sure whether she's going to be there or not. Other horses that will get a good race shape and will get their opportunity, they could be the knockout style of runners. Ecumenical is definitely one of those horses, as is Still a Star, who I don't expect to win, but for some reason, Still a Star just puts herself within the first 4 every single time. So good race for mine. Mick Kent Jr. would be expecting to win. It'd just be Odium over Anavisto. Great race, good betting race.
So Odium, you've got a level of confidence there that she's going to be running a good number first up.
Yeah.
All right. For me, I settled on Instant Celebrity. I just thought last start, as you said, got too far back, but biggest mid-race squeeze of the race, it was 7.5 lengths, and then was actually the quickest last 400 home of the race as well. So I just think that's going to really bring her on. We know she's got a level of class. I think third up we'll see a sharp improvement. And as you said, if she can settle a bit closer from gate 5, which she should be able to, I think the $6 and $2.20 is not a bad sort of small win, bigger the place bet. Race 7's the Turnbull. It's the big one of the day. Very Elegant versus Incentivise is going to be mouth-watering. As I said on our earlier show with Dr. Turf, I thought it was, add Colette and Sir Dragonet in it, and you've got the winner in that 4. The rest of these horses, Persan, Explosive Jack, Young Verther, Mount Popper, Johnny Get Angry and Chapata. They're really looking for handicaps and further. I've actually just lost Hayden there. So I don't want to steal his thunder with the Turnbull. But obviously Very Elegant is going to be mighty hard to beat. Incentivise was super last start. As Turfy said, looks like he's going to have to lead again. There isn't really an obvious leader in this race, which means we're probably going to have another tactical affair where Brett Preble's going to go forward on Incentivise, maybe look to steady the pace and leave them flat-footed and kick off. Damien Lane, obviously terrific rider and sort of perfect jockey for Very Elegant, who was a little bit mischievous early going to the gates last start. James McDonald mentioned that in that race where she beat Riadini, where as she can play up a bit. And I think that's part of the reason why Chris Waller overlooked the Hill Stakes to come down to Sydney, because Damien Lane is going to ride her in the Cox Plate. I think having that one start before then, Damien Lane, can get a feel of what her temperament's like. And if she does pull up a bit scratchy out of the Turnbull, she doesn't have to travel down here to a Cox Plate. She can relax in Victoria. Welcome back, Hayden. Just talking about Incentivise. Obviously, Brett Preble, very smart last start to just take the lead and slacken at the right time and then leave his opponents flat-footed. You'd expect Damien Lane to be switched onto that on Very Elegant.
Yeah, he won't muck around. It was a great ride by Brett last start. Apologise for that. My internet completely cut out then. I thought we might have had another, we've had earthquakes, we've had everything. So, I had a possum fried in the overheads the other week outside the house and had no anything for the day. Got a letter saying that the water's going to be cut off on Sunday for the best part of the whole day. What else could happen? The internet goes. So I had to stretch a level of professionalism there, but you're trained to do that. So if it was me, I just would have butchered that. I just would have apologised to everybody, put some music on and waited for you to come back.
So how do you look at this Turnbull, mate?
It's a really interesting race, isn't it? I've got a question for you because this is something that, I don't care about much when it comes to weights and measures and, how can we put fake lengths on horses and all that sort of garbage. But I've got a question for you. Set weights, penalties. We're talking about horses who are heading into the majors in the spring. Who doesn't want to win here? Who doesn't get any benefit from actually winning?
No one. I think there's no incentive or disincentive for any of these horses to win. So if you're worried about grand finals and handicaps, I'm pretty sure a horse like Colette, for example, or Incentivise, I don't think they can be re-handicapped for a Caulfield Cup.
Okay, so there's nothing to see here from in terms of lack of intent or just having a quiet one, for instance.
No, well, clearly Colette and Incentivise, their grand final is going to be the Caulfield Cup. So if you're asking about whether the horse is fully wound up to peak, that might be a different question to, is there a disincentive to win? Which, no, I think any trainer going into a major race would want their horse running super here. So, no, and we know that certainly Chris Waller's got no hesitation in getting wins on the board ahead of grand finals. We saw it with Very Elegant winning this race last year, going on to the Caulfield Cup and winning the Caulfield Cup as well.
So it's interesting for me from a form perspective. I would expect Incentivise to once again roll forward and hold front. You got horses like Mount Popper and Persan. If they come up with a different tactic and they don't necessarily want to hold the front, those two horses do have some tactical speed. Incentivise just might dive behind a horse like Persan and say, well, if we're going to walk, we're going to walk. But I expect him once again to go to the front, all things being equal, and roll along from that position. I think big key here is Very Elegant has drawn one inside of him. So from a tactical battle, Lane isn't a rider who will just give the front to somebody. Whether he makes Incentivise work, he'll hold his line and just make him work for the best part of 50 to 100 metres to ensure there's a little bit of genuineness in the race itself. Great rider booking here with this mare. like, James McDonald, A-grade rider, Mark Zara, A-grade, Frosty. If you need a replacement, this is your guy for this horse. He's as aggressive as she is. And I think if you go into the race and say, okay, who's the one you can trust? It's her. So I'm willing to trust her. If that tracks the S5, that's ball right in her court. She doesn't have the biggest tactical straight line speed punch in the game. So that could be her undoing. But when she got put into a similar scenario, was it this race last year, she beat Fierce Impact and Co, and there was the big finish of the 5 or 6 of them. And we still thought that Master of Wine was a good horse. Was that this race last year?
Yeah, and I think what was the mare for Chris Waller, Toffee Tongue, that was running up the inside there, and Miami Bound was flying home from out back.
Yeah. So, she's been in that position before and found a way to do it.
Yeah,
I think she can do it again. The big watch runner in the race has to be Sir Dragonet. He's got the X factor. You can't ever forget that he is the Cox Plate winner here. We're back up to the Cox Plate distance. He was electric, absolutely electric last start. How he didn't win still surprises me. He could just blow them away. If it turns into a pure straight line speed race and he can bring his mile profile to 2000 in this style of race on the dry ground, he might just beat them all. But I can trust her. I still got my question marks surrounding him, even though he's a Cox Plate winner. So very elegant to go on top for me from Sir Dragonet. Colette's the most interesting horse in the field for me. Go back to what Turfy said earlier. She, to me, am I falling into the Master of Wine trap from last year, or am I on the right one this year? She's the horse that I would love to be in her camp. I'd love to know whether it was going to be a wet Caulfield Cup, because I would love to back her in a waterlogged Caulfield Cup, H8, S7 sort of, right in the crown of the Caulfield track. She just beat them. She's got the right Caulfield Cup profile for me. I'm looking for a really big run so I can go into the Caulfield Cup with some confidence surrounding her. And then after that, I've got little watches on horses like Mount Popper, Persan, etc. I'm not interested in the rest.
Yep. Question
and
from
incentivize,
Matthew.
Obviously.
Yeah, question from Matthew James. Who rates a better chance on a good track at Flemington between Incentivize and Very Elegant? Sounds like Very Elegant.
The reason that the ball's in the Very Elegant court is we've got one with a lot of hype, a lot of tactical tricks and weapons. Incentivize's got a lot of tricks. He's got a lot of weapons up his sleeve. We haven't seen them all yet. But the thing with her is she's got the PB. So up until this point in time, when you're talking purely on statistics, numbers, ratings, etc., she has the PB, so she can still naturally run to that, where he hasn't gone there yet. So everything that he's going to be asked to do from now on in, we're going to be looking for career best performances for him to be winning. That's his challenge. We haven't we don't think we've seen his ceiling, but every single time he steps out now, we're going to ask him to continuously build.
Yeah, and she's bringing a higher last start number than he is here. I've got her on top as well. And as you said, I think it's a race in 4 really, but if you're so inclined, you could make her your roving banker. She's not going to miss the top 3 and put your other 3 horses in for your multiples. I'm not sure what odds you'd get, but you'd be pretty confident that on class that they'd be filling the numbers. The next race is the Bart Cummings. This is a cracking little race as we look towards the Melbourne Cup. I'm not sure we've got a Melbourne Cup winner here, but certainly the winner deserves their place in a race that is going to be low on international numbers. But Grand Promenade 480. Shiraz is a horse we see in Australia for the first time. $5.50 for Chris Waller. Charlie Rose 7. Pondus 7 for Team Williams. A Maid $9.50. Dawn Patrol 10 also for Team Williams. And then you've got Zayrek 14. Port Guillaume is $15 and $19 the rest. Realm of Flowers, a horse who's guaranteed a Melbourne Cup start at $19 there. A couple of others, Mosh Music, Miami Bound, Master of Wine at big odds.
Interesting race. Very interesting race. It's going to be a tactical battle. You've got some up-and-coming stayers, you know, Pondus, Trully Rose, Ahmad. Then you got some question marks surrounding some others like Dawn Patrol. The two most confusing horses in the race for me would be Realm of Flowers and Miami Bound. Miami Bound's the one who, when she gets to these trips, she's extremely dangerous. I've been a little bit underwhelmed with her both starts back. 100% this is grand final day for me for her. And who could you possibly ask for better at the moment than have Daniel Moore on board? Pondus is a horse who he looks like he's going in the right direction. He could easily step out here and win, as could Trully Rose, who's drawn the car park. It'd be excellent to see Dean Holland secure himself a ride in a Melbourne Cup. Your little mate Master of Wine's there. I've got no faith left in him, and I'm looking for him to do it all again before I can get excited about him. And the one you want to put your highlighter through as the biggest watch in the race, and maybe the biggest watch of the weekend, is Shiraz.
Yeah, you got a bit of expectation on Shiraz?
I expect it to come here and perform very well.
Yeah, okay. I settled with Pondus. I was really, really taken by, well, not taken, but it was a very solid prep he had here in Melbourne last spring. He had 2 runs, running second both times. He was a bit unlucky in the Bendigo Cup, and then good run behind True Self in the Queen Elizabeth. And, you know, Brett Preble, strong booking. He's continued his form in Ireland, and he's here now, and I think he'll be running really well. Lloyd Williams and Team Williams have no hesitation in having their horses have big runs in the lead up to the Melbourne Cup. I can think of horses like Al Mandan, who won his lead up race, and Green Moon won the Turnbull. I think went into a Cox Plate and favourite and failed, but then, you know, came out and won a Melbourne Cup. So I'll be having a little bit speculative on Pondus here. Last race is the Paris Lane Stakes. ASAR's the $4.40 favourite, and I thought this was a little bit of a standout. If ASAR's getting back to the level we know he's capable of, running second to Tagaloa at big odds last campaign, he's run behind Sierra Sue in the Group 1, beaten the length. If he's got any improvement here, he's probably the one to beat.
Yeah, he's not going to get it any easier than this one. He gets race shape. He gets everything in his favour.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure he's genuine at this point. Whether he's had some issues or what, I'm not convinced as yet. So I'll be staying away from him. He can win without me. Galwa's an interesting horse for mine on an each way basis only, just on this being a pretty poor race. But this is the sort of race where I could probably pin half to 3/4 of the field in the one length above benchmark range, and they could possibly go there, and they most likely won't. So it's not a betting race for mine.
All right, let's flick over to Randwick. The first 3 races aren't too much. Race 4 is a benchmark 88, but a couple of horses that we've discussed previously. Big Boy Roy at $5, Kiss the Bride at $4.60. Is this a race that you'd be entertained to bet in?
Oh, not from betting. From a form perspective, there's plenty of horses there that you can keep your eye on. Kiss the Bride, dangerous runner, right race shape. Ditto Taxu, ditto Big Boy Roy, ditto Cordy, a dangerous race. I'll be staying out.
Okay, race 5 is the Yulong Hill Stakes. Very elegant, obviously scratched in Melbourne for the Turnbull. Think it over. Odds on favourite at $2 and deserves to be. Duais is $4.40. K.I. Nortique was a little bit disappointing last start in the Maccabi Diva. He's $5, and Shared Ambition is $6.50.
Well, his last 2 starts and probably 5 of his last 6, if he goes anywhere near that, he wins. So he's the right price. The horse I want to keep an eye on is Ki Nortique, and the other one I want to keep an eye on is Shared Ambition, who looks like he's in for a good campaign as well. But the level of expectation here would be Think It Over wins.
Yeah, I agree. The Premier Stakes is race 6, another lead up to the Everest. Masked Crusader, $2.60. Rothfire, $3.30. And every time I watch that replay of the shorts, I warm more and more to Rothfire, what he was able to do off a long break. He's $3.30 here. Lost and Running is $5. Jonker, $7. The rest leading with Standout from $14. But you know, what do you want to see from these horses heading into an Everest?
From an Everest perspective, my level of expectation on Masked Crusader would be to produce a number somewhere in the
threes.
He's got to eclipse the 3 from the first up run, and he's got to, he's only got to match that or eclipse that, and he's a pass mark, and he's definitely on the right path to the Everest. I've got no interest in anything else in this race from an Everest perspective. And I've got a level of expectation that Masked Crusader is better than these.
I need to ask, why do you say that regarding Rothfire?
Rothfire, he was very good.
His run to the Rose was enormous, Hayden.
Yes, his run to the Rose was enormous, but that was prior to a 357-day break from a substantial injury. For him to come back in the order that he has come back in, put that level of mid-race in, etc., etc. This horse is wound up. Don't you worry about that. Horses do not improve off tendons. So there's a ceiling. That's the ceiling. I think the run to the Rose is the ceiling on that horse. So I've got a good grasp on him. It's a big level. He's got plenty of room for improvement. But I'm going to need to see him do it. And I don't know whether he could do it this weekend and then go on and do it, whether he has one more run into an Everest or he goes straight to an Everest from here. It's a big, big mission. If you're going to be flat, it's going to be the weekend.
Well, the Everest is in 2 weeks after this. So he's definitely going
straight to the Everest.
And then to the Everest. So be a nice little tune-up and then peak third up in the Everest.
Yeah, I think he'll need a slower race shape. He's not my horse. That's just, he's definitely got the level he needs to go to win up his sleeve. He's got that level of talent. He might be impossible to run down. He could go 3.5 in the front quite easily and win. But I'm talking from me personally, would I back Rothfire? The answer is just no.
Yeah. All right. I'm wondering whether you'll back this runner then, because if you're keen on the 7-day backup, I can see both of us backing up the truck. It's the Flight Stakes 1600. The favourite is Star 10th. $4 seems like great odds if this horse has overcome what she was able to do in the Golden Rose behind in the Congo, beaten 2.8 lengths. But we spoke with Henry Field on Monday. They clocked some serious time, all 5, 6, 7, 8 horses across the line. One of the other fillies, Jamea, who was running that race, clearly hasn't pulled up well, and they decided not to run here. But Star 10th, are you taking Rob Heathcote on trust that this horse has pulled up well out of that run? And I suppose if she goes to the same number again, she's got a gap on these, doesn't she?
At this point, I'm not backing her.
Okay. And is that just a fear of flatness or? Yeah. That
was high pressure. She's had a massive 8-length squeeze. She had a 12-length squeeze at Doom in the race prior. She went to the same level mid-race. She maintained it, only declined last 200, but there was a little bit of, okay, we've got your beat, I'll ease up. So there was half conditioning, half easing up. She's gone real big, 2 big sections, 5 lengths above benchmark, combined second and combined third. Fillies don't react the same way as the boys do. So the boys can overcome the flatness, continue on in the 3-year-old campaign. It hurts fillies. And if you go to the well too many times with the fillies, it's game over. You know, and it does not matter how good you are. You can go back and have a look at Yankee Rose, for example. She was flying going into a Cox Plate, ran really well in a Cox Plate. She goes to an Oaks and you think, well, whatever you give me, I'll take. And I think the horse who won the race never won another one. Fillies, it's just dangerous. She is the best horse here. These horses, to me, have been a little bit underwhelming to this point of their career. I'm still waiting for these fillies to launch. You know, she's got the IVR profile that says, okay, I can just step in and back her and I will simply not get beaten. But there is that danger with the flatness. That's all I'm concerned about.
I guess the counter argument to that is this horse was the only filly not nominated in the horse. Rob Heathcote actually had to make a decision. A, has she pulled up well? And B, do we pay a late entry fee? And they paid the late entry fee. So the question is, do you put a line through her because of the risk of being flatlined, or you take the trainer on trust, knowing that he's paid a late entry fee, I guess trusting that she's fine?
No, that's the question you got to ask yourself. Is that, okay, we've established she is the best filly in the race. We've got no problem at all there. We've got a level of expectation that she's substantially better than them. In terms of the trainer, all these trainers, every single horse trainer out there, they're all fantastic at what they do. When you get a horse who's prepared to go to that level in a race and prepared to stay in that level of velocity, they're going to look fantastic in the box come that week. Because it's not first section pressure. This thing hasn't been busted up by going, 13, 14, 15 lengths above first section and being asked to maintain extreme lactic acid for the best part of 800 metres. This horse has increased its speed last 200. It's feeling fantastic. You twist the screws on this thing again, you'll find out at the 450 metre mark that it's flat as an onion. You can't do anything about it.
But are they? Can you see this race? Can you see them going fast? Have they? Are there enough runners here to say they're going to go fast enough through the early stages? Are they going to lift it up through the mid race, or is she just simply a class above and she's not going to be asked to exert anywhere near what she was asked in the Golden Rose?
Group 1, there's going to be enough intent and enough velocity. Gay Waterhouse has runners engaged. There's going to be enough intention through the first section for everyone vying for position. Those drawn inside aren't just going to let horses to their outside cross, and those from the outside aren't just going to sit there and say, oh, well, I'll sit 3 wide because we'll walk. Gay's got Never Been Kissed. Gay's got Swift Witness. You got a first-hand look at Gay's approach to Group 1 racing last week. Don't think for any reason she's not going to do exactly the same thing this week and try and break them from the front.
Is there a cheeky one at odds then that you might be looking at?
For me, it's no interest. Okay. No interest at all as a betting race. Our 2 horses, Swift Witness and She's All Class, the 2 fillies that we're trying to convince ourselves are good horses, just don't come to the party.
Yeah, I agree.
So until one of those says, yeah, it's me, even horses like Never Been Kissed for Gay, to some extent, like Fangirl, Penzawalla, something could launch here. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Star Tonce wins. She's the horse I expect to win, but I wouldn't back her.
Yeah. Okay.
Same as Rothfire.
Yeah. No, I think that sums it up. The Epsom is the race of the day for mine. Riadini's a $5 favourite. What do we got? Synthetic Hoof Filler staying on again, but ran second to Very Elegant last start. Moonga $6.50, Private Eye $8, Hungry Heart $8.50. Ice Bath was huge last week at $10. Backs up here. Arameo $12, Delasan $14, Atishu $18, Skylab $19, and the one I think is massive odds is Cascadian at $19. There are a few others down in the field too that just aren't going that well. Horses like Lions Roar and Rock and Star of the Seas, even Reloaded at their best, they'd be mixing it in a race like this, but they're just not going well enough.
Agreed. There's a couple of horses I was really drawn to and thought I had a little bit of a checkmate move when I went through their profiles. And then when it come to putting the final tick down when it comes to rider. I just said, nah, not going there. Not prepared to go there and never will go there because whether anyone likes it or not, Group 1 riders win Group 1 races. There's a reason why the big boys come to play. Everyone says it's because they get the better rides. It's a load of rubbish. They've worked their whole lives to achieve what they've achieved. So when you sit down and you narrow it all down and say, okay, who's doing what, where, why, and how, I was drawn back to Mwanga. I reckon we'll get double figures. Mwanga. I wasn't overly impressed in this horse at Flemington, and the more I looked at it, the weaker and the weaker and the weaker I thought he was. I thought he had absolutely every right in the world to beat that horse in front. And he had a monster advantage on him at one point when Incentivise basically dropped the anchors and this horse got a clean run up on him. I think going outside my normal square of thought process that this horse is a superior horse in Sydney. He's also a superior horse when Tommy Berry rides him. Tom and him get along. And my love affair for Tommy Berry is well known. The guy's a superstar. So I'm giving Mwanga one more chance. I think the weight players will look and see big shifts in weights, 5, 6, 7 kilos, et cetera, which will give me double figures. This horse, I think he can run back to that Randwick performance second up last campaign. I expected him to go there last start. So little question mark there, but I'm willing to be with him to beat Riadini, who they've made just 2 horrible errors on this horse, last 2, of just sitting up and waiting, feeling like, the horse is just a bundle of energy. Let her go, because it won't catch her. Rachie King, again, you're going to get slip around this corner and she's going to feel exactly the same way. If you sit back and wait, you're going to get caught again. Gay will know. Gay will give the vital instruction of if you wait, don't come back. So Mwanga in top for me, just from Riadini. Hungry Heart. D-Day. Yeah. You might have to run a PB or go right to your PB to win. Similar to Mwanga, they're the 2 that look most capable of doing so. She's the one I've got the little circle around, and I expect her to go pretty big. I think there's a big race in that.
Is that PB 3.6 or is it higher than that?
That's her PB. To this point of her career, she's got a 3.6 to her name, which puts her right in contention for a race like this. You're going to have to go somewhere above 3 to win. She looks like she could A, go there, and B, that's not her ceiling either. Sorry, her PB's 4.5 Hungry Heart, which was Randwick going back. So that was why I marked her down, because she had the number to go to the 4.
What date was that?
That was going back to Randwick, 3rd of the 10th last year.
Okay, 2 preps ago.
Yep. So they're the horses who look like that they could go really big in your multiples, because everybody likes having big first 4s, Cornellas, etc. in races like this. The 2 horses you must include and keep very, very close eyes on. Reloaded, Glen Boss, Chris Waller.
Okay.
And the other one, Lions Raw, will be 100-1. Jean Van Overmeer, John O'Shea. They're the horses who are capable of going to this level and have been completely forgotten about. Great race.
Yeah, no, I've been looking for Lions Raw 3rd up, but geez, he was beaten 20 lengths last start, so clearly something was wrong. But again, I guess you take on trust that if the horse is right and he ran to his level, he can do well. I'm with Hungry Heart. You look at her last prep, she took 2 runs to get going, 3rd up last prep. She got to 1,500 metres. She ran that plus 3.6 I'm talking about. As you said, that's not her peak. Her peak was 2 preps ago. But that run 3rd up last prep, she went 5 lengths through the first through the first section, slowed through the mid-race, had a 2.1 length slowdown from the 8 to the 6, picked that back up, finished with 2nd quickest last 200 of the day, As I said, overall 3.6, and you could probably give her a bit more if she had that nice transition of energy. Kieran Mcavoy, I should say, is a master. I think Chris Waller's a master. I think he's been looking at this race from a long way out. I think she profiles a bit similar to Probabile as a 4-year-old mare, still with no ceiling. So Hungry Heart will be my play in this race. I think Cascadian's the one that's over the odds. He had a massive mid-race squeeze last start, hit the line nicely behind Very Elegant. It won't look good, or it won't stand out, maybe because 2 starts ago he failed as favourite. I just think this horse takes more time in the spring to come to hand. He can run well second and third up in the autumn, but I think in the spring he takes a few runs. And again, we've seen him run second in a Doncaster. No, sorry, won the Doncaster, ran second in a Cantala. I think $19 and $5 a place is just silly odds for, he's a standout miler. And again, you talk about Group 1 riders. Hugh Bowman is that. And I think these wider barriers in these big handicaps is actually an advantage. So Cascadian and Hungry Heart, there wasn't much between their runs last time. And I'm happy to back both. Hungry Heart at 850, Cascadian at 19. My little question mark about Mwanga, Hayden, and I'll take on board that he might be a better horse in Sydney, but does he go dour real quick? Does he get to third up in a prep and he's looking for 2,000 metres? That would be my question. I think in the autumn, and I'll just get up his autumn prep, but I would have liked to have seen him go further out in trip. He won the Rosehill Guineas at 2,000. He came back to 1,600. He was one of the favourites for the Doncaster and just didn't run that well. And then Queen Elizabeth, well, he finished 7th of 7th in a pretty good field. But my question mark with Mwanga is he a better fresh horse and does he turn dour quick? But it wouldn't surprise me if he came out and won for the reasons you said, but I'll be on Hungry Heart.
His profile going back last campaign, I can see exactly why you would think that. First up, Flemington, 1,400. First section, plus 3.6, maintained speed through the mid. Then went to Randwick over the mile. Again, high pressure, 3.9 first section. Sustained 3.3 mid. That could, take the edge right off him. That could lose his early speed. And that could turn him into that stronger, dour, thicker style of colt. This time in, he's only gone 0.7 below first section. The squeeze through the mid was nothing for a horse of his calibre and a little 400 squirt home. He had a bludge at Flemington, 4.8 below first section. The squeeze was nothing. It was non-eventful. It was just, give him his rein and let him travel a little bit faster. +5 last section. This is the time where he's had the actual fitness builder campaign rather than, okay, we're going to gut you early and make you slow. So in terms of preparation, he's been 14 to 16, where last time he was 14 to 16, identical. This is when we talk about profiling horses and understanding where they're at in a campaign. This prep gives him the best chance to go big, battle hardened into a mile and be effective versus being a little bit dour when he got to the same stage last campaign.
Yeah, fair enough. And like I said, for the reasons you said, there are plenty of reasons why Mwanga can win here. And it'll be very interesting. If he does look that touch dour, do they pivot back to a Cox plate? And is that the race they're going for? Or if he comes out and wins, you'd probably be going towards a Golden Eagle at 1,500, a few weeks between runs and keeping him fresh for that, and plenty of money on offer there. But this is a cracking race, and it'll be be exciting to see who ends up getting the chocolates. The Metropolitan, and I suppose Turfy was sort of mentioning, you've got to be on a Thursday or a midweek or a Friday to really know the form. And a number of these horses, I'm interested in your take. They come out of a Friday meeting at Newcastle a couple of weeks ago, won by Great House. How did that race rate? And is that a form line for this race?
They walked at Newcastle.
Yeah.
You know, you take a horse like Quick Thinker, for example, the winner, Great House, gone 20 lengths below benchmark through the first section.
Yeah. That's a couple of runs in a row as well, I reckon, for that horse.
Great House is, you know, the fastest he's gone in his last 4 starts is -14. He's been explosive through the mid, and he sustained everything late. You know, the trick with horses like that is, okay, we're going to ask you to go 15 lengths faster earlier in a race like this. Let's see how you cope with that. So for those horses, you look for battle hardening prior to that. And if you've got that, then you're going to get a beautiful build-up run for a race like this. So it can be very beneficial for horses. But if horses come through, you know, a series of runs like that, it can be very dangerous also. It might be her day on Saturday. She's she's one of the best friends of the show. She became your worst enemy for a period of time.
I think she's the clear on top pick for me.
She's on top for me as well. She's getting closer to her top this campaign. But that 2 lengths above benchmark first up run says this, she could go back to that level. Go to the 2s here, you're going to be mighty hard to beat.
Yep.
For that reason, she's on top for mine. Montefilia, the obvious danger. This is a better campaign for her. She's starting to thrive on that mid-race pressure rather than just trying to be something, you know, a brutal world beater early. Good race, difficult race. They're tipping money into Zarak.
Yeah. I think nommed it at, in the Bart Cummings as well, but maybe this is a race they're heading to.
They're tipping money into that. It's going to need a PB to win. It looks like the weight punters. Weight punters go pretty silly on Epsom and Metrop Day. It's the real old-fashioned, you know, get the calculator out and add just myths onto horses. But good luck to them. He's a nice horse. You'll need a PB to win. But good luck. Good luck to everybody involved. Harpo Marx is a little bit of a forgotten horse here. He can run a big race. Quick Thinker's another horse who could run a big race in a race of this caliber. Warning looks like he's in for... got a PB up his sleeve this campaign, Warning. This is the best I've seen him look. And good luck to our old mate, Mirage Dancer. I think this is the last hurrah for Mirage Dancer. He's been like a carousel horse. He just goes round and around and around. Good luck to him. And if he beats me, I'm going to be wrapped for him.
Yeah, he won this race last year. I did put out a tweet saying he's heading to stud in Ireland as a son of Frankel. I did get a text back saying this might not be his last start. It's certainly his last prep. It could be his last start, but there might be a couple more races left in him after Saturday. But certainly heading to start at the end of this prep. Sounds like we've both got She's Ideal on top. Is there anything you want to finish? Get out stakes at Randwick on Saturday. Race 10, Ravina, Big Parade, Prime Candidate. A couple of horses we usually see running these sort of races to finish a day. Rocketing By for Huey Bowman.
Big Parade back to the 1200. Broke the 1200 metre track record. Kem Lagrange 2 starts back. Randwick, no issue for him whatsoever. He's my sort of horse. He's that big, bold on speed runner. Heavy, hard to run down. Gravina is a horse who's had a lot of hype on it, capable of a big finish on its day. But little question marks surrounding a runner like that. But for me, Big Parade, Prime Candidate will be very, very dangerous late in that race, but probably not a race that I'll be betting in.
Okay. I think that sums us up. We've gone long here. If you're after our entertaining chat, with Dr. Turf, or you've listened for 55 minutes and you're listening to the wrong show. So we'll have the Dr. Turf show up on YouTube first. Punters, this is clearly the show if you want to do the form. And you can listen to either of these shows with some earpods or some headphones via iTunes and Spotify. For those others that like Supercoach Racing, bit of fantasy sports, that kicks off this week. The league code is in our Facebook group. I might just get the league code for those wanting to join. It's 830646. So there's the league code for those who want to join our Supercoach Racing League starting Saturday, 830646. Hayden, good to chat, and good luck on the punt this week, mate.
Same to you. It'll be very enjoyable. Group 1's 2 states. Channel 7 is on Channel 7. Go Hungry Heart. I'll be going Mwanga.
All right, mate. Enjoy. Catch you later.
Good luck. Enjoy, mate.
See ya.